Okay, in continuation of our installation of Oracle 19C pluggable database on Linux, and the storage system is ASM Diskgroup. I said that I actually queried $PDBs. I'm just trying to introduce another $$ performance view. Let's quickly run this query and query $PDB. So I've been querying $, containers. So now also you can also query $PDB. Let's run that query quickly. //accessVBA. All right, so you see that this only shows the pluggable database. It doesn't show the root container. So I've also displayed the database ID for each of the pluggable databases. They are in open mode. The two databases that we created are in open mode. All right, very quickly, next, let's turn our attention to Enterprise Manager. Before we go to Enterprise Manager, let's take a quick look at the entire status of the grid infrastructure. Remember that command, CRS-CTL, start the status of all the resources. You want to always remember this command. So we're looking at the status. These groups are all online. The listener is online. The ASM instance is running and is stable. All these objects are beyond the scope of this particular presentation. But here's our database. Our database is online and it's in open mode, and that's the Oracle Home right there, and it's stable. So this command tells you the status of the entire grid. All right. Let's turn our attention to OEM, Oracle Enterprise Manager Express. Although ultimately we want to register these databases with Oracle Enterprise Manager Cloud Control, but we did ensure that OEM Express was activated. And so now this is very critical. The 19C will only allow us to use the HTTPS access to OEM Express. You can't use the HTTP access. So it has to be the secure access. However, because in our installation, the grid user owns grid infrastructure, and the listener is running from the grid home. Now let's quickly take a look at the status of our listener. So if we look at the status of the listener control status, you notice that the port for OEM Express is 5500, and this database uses a wallet. It's an added security feature, and the wallet is located in this folder right here. Notice that this directory actually belongs to the Oracle user. The grid user should be able to have full access, at least read access to this directory and the content of this directory. Looking at our listener, of course, the ASM instance is up and running. The listener is listening, and the ASM instance is there, and our pluggable databases are showing up in our listener as well as our root container. Now, we have to be sure that the content of this wallet, that the grid user has read permission. Well, let's change directory and go there. Let's go to that location, copy that, change directory. Let's go there right now. And when we go there and check the content of our wallet, we see that only the Oracle user has read-write permission to the wallet. Others do not. So even though the grid user is a member of the DBA group, he still does not have permission to read the wallet. And so you're going to have a problem invoking Enterprise Manager Express. Now, to fix that, we are going to, we've already changed directory, we are going to give this permission as shown on the screen to the users who have access to this directory. So I have just given that permission right there. And so if we check again, we see that we now have read permission for the members of the group that Oracle belongs to, O install and DBA. And so now we can invoke Enterprise Manager. All right, let's go to the next slide. In the next slide, to invoke Enterprise Manager, we just have to open our favorite browser, maybe Chrome, maybe Firefox, HTTPS, the IP address of our server, the port 5500 Enterprise Manager Express. By the way, we can always confirm the port number of OEM Express. Let's quickly do that. This command right here. We can confirm we get the port of OEM Express, SQL plus //sysdba. Paste that, and we have 5500, which agrees with the port that our listener is listening at. And like I said, to invoke OEM Express, we just open our favorite browser, https://192.168.1.186. And if you are logging in for the first time, you may have a Java issue, which you should know how to resolve by now. And the browser may show a security alert saying it will not open it, but you should proceed because we know this is OEM Express. So I'm going to log in as the sys user, provide the password for sys. And when we log in, we are now in OEM Express. And this is the root container right there, OEM Express, root container right there. And the performance of OEM Express, the version of Linux, the platform is Linux. We have not done any kind of backup. We can look at the activity. We can look at the services that are running. we can look at the containers. What containers do we have? So we have the pluggable PDBs, the two PDBs including the seed. We have the root container right there. So we can click on each one to see the performance. The resources of the CPU, active sessions that are connected to our database, the storage, the different memory usage for each of the PDBs, the queries that are running, that are being monitored in the last hour, and so on and so forth. We can also look at the performance tab, performance hub, for a lot more detailed performance information, active sessions by weight class, by SQL, so let's look at active session by SQL ID, and so on and so forth. SQL's monitored SQL. So this is OEM. OEM Express. And like I said, ultimately, we will be registering this database with OEM Cloud Control. If you have the resources to install OEM Cloud Control, you can do that. Let's take a look at this SQL command right here. Let's look at this one. It's running against our CRM 01, taking 1 minute plus. So we can see the execution plan of the SQL statement. Is a select statement. Let's take a look at the SQL command. There's the SQL command right there. Any parallel run. All right, friends. Of course, we can, see a little more information about that SQL. It's actually being run by SYS and is running against our CRM. You can query $SQL for this SQL ID that is displayed here. All right. That concludes our session on installing Oracle 19C on Linux using the new architecture of Oracle known as the multi-tenant architecture that was introduced in 12C, and actually 19C is actually 12C 12.3. When we get to Oracle 20C, when that is released, we will not have, all Oracle databases will be pluggable. So get ready for that. When you finish this lab, ensure that this machine is not deleted, this machine is preserved, because we will be using this particular server to do another project called Oracle Active Data Guard. Oracle Active Data Guard. So we have successfully installed and configured Oracle 19C on Linux. We've looked at the multi-tenant pluggable architecture. We have explored ASM Diskgroups and used the CRS CTL and SRV CTL commands to manage our database. Along the line, we will be migrating Oracle 12C to 19C. We also have another lab that migrates Oracle 11G to Oracle 12C using transportable table space with data pump. So we are going to do an upgrade, migrate. That's the Lab 10 series. And then we will do upgrade in place using DBUA, Database Upgrade Assistant. We're going to do an upgrade in place using DBUA from 11G to 12C. We will also have a lab that upgrades 12C to 19C, pluggable, from non-pluggable, non-CDB 12C to 19C, pluggable. Like I said, down the line, we will do another lab and configure Oracle Active Data Guard. Oracle Active Data Guard using this server that we have just created as our primary database. We will, in that lab, set up an NFS share between the primary and the standby database to be able to transfer files across. We will also be doing, as part of the data guard lab, we will be doing gap resolution using incremental backup, using, identifying the logs that are missing and copying them over, cataloging them, and applying them. We will switch our physical standby to a snapshot standby, and then revert same. All right. If you ever have any challenge doing this lab, you can contact us at oraclelabs@pishontechnologies.com. Again, my name is Billy Effick. It's been a pleasure presenting this installation of Oracle 19C. Thank you.